Welcome to Masterful Minutes. As we move through the workshop, you will see a little hand in the bottom right-hand corner of some slides, which indicates that there's a handout to go along with that slide. If you aren't familiar with the Alberta School Council Association, or ASCA, here are some brief highlights of what we do. Working for excellence in public education and student learning success, ASCA promotes the meaningful and positive engagement of parents in our public education system, primarily through school councils. We do this through a variety of ways, as you can note on the screen. As a province-wide organization of school councils, ASCA maintains three core areas of focus: development, communication, and representation. The Alberta School Councils Association is the provincial association representing parents on school councils across the province. Parents on school councils, along with other education partners noted on the slide, help to shape the future of Alberta's public education system. One way ASCA obtains or hears the wishes of parents on school councils is through its advocacy policy process, which your school council, as one of our members, can participate in at our ASCA AGM in April. ASCA then uses these advocacy policies to advocate on behalf of member school councils with the Education Ministry and education stakeholders to effect positive change in Alberta schools, ensuring that the parent voice is heard. Often school councils have one of two or maybe both challenges related to minutes and secretaries. One, they can't find anyone to fill the secretary position, possibly for a couple of reasons. A, because taking minutes really isn't perceived as glamorous work, and B, because most people lack the confidence to take minutes. Two, the person who is filling the position isn't given any clear direction related to what kind of minutes should be taken and how the minutes should look. As there are actually a few formats for minutes, mostly used in the corporate world, it's not surprising that school councils have difficulty figuring out what their minutes should look like, and then making it easy for the minute taker at and after the meetings. Over the next few minutes, we'll take a look at three of the most commonly used types of minutes, and then closely examine the format that is best suited for the school council setting. Some examples and samples will also be discussed. First, let's take a quick refresher on school council. A school council is often viewed as the heart of the community it serves. I'm sure you've all heard the quote, "It takes a village to raise a child." The community can support the work of your school council only if it's aware of what's going on, good news and bad news. This gives the community a sense of connection to the school, which generates an enthusiasm and willingness to commit time, resources, and energy to support the school in achieving its short and long-term goals. School council should be that bridge to promote positive engagement in a school community. I heard a great quote from lecturer Peter M. DeWitt, and the quote really is impactful. Talking with families is important. You either build a bridge or a wall. That's a very powerful statement that really relates to school councils and the work that they do in the school community. They do build bridges and become the bridges, connecting parents and other community members to the school. Think about ways that your school council can be or is the bridge in your school community. The overarching purpose for a school council is to support and enhance student learning. The Ministry of Education in Alberta recognizes the value of parents and the community to be engaged in the education of children. They created legislation to mandate school councils in every Alberta school through the Education Act, Section 55, and the School Councils Regulation. The intention was to have a structured group in every school, mandated in legislation, with a defined role, to create multiple and varied opportunities for increased parental and community engagement. School councils are meant to be a parent forum, the one place where parents can provide input and advice on student learning and success. Just as ASCA is the provincial collective voice for parents in education, your school council is a collective voice for all parents in your school, not just the executive or those who can regularly attend the meetings. So why is it called school council and not parent council? It's important to remember that people who make up the membership may be more than parents. They can be staff, community members, students. And the term parent does not just mean biological mom or dad anymore. There are step parents, foster parents, guardians, grandparents, and extended family. Moving forward, it's important to identify your group as your school council. Although a school council is a means for parents and educators to work together to support student success, this is the role given to school councils in the Education Act. They are an advisory body to the principal and the school board. School council should be given the opportunity to advise and provide meaningful input to the principal before important decisions are made. Otherwise, the advice is pointless. School councils are an advisory body, not primarily a decision-making body. Most decisions a school council will make relate to their own operations. The actual decision-making authority of the school council is limited to determining how they want to operate to best fulfill their duties. School council operating procedures, rules of order, code of conduct, etc. Setting policies to govern school council activities at the school level as described in the Education Act, Policy and Practices Manual. Planning support activities that align with school council's purpose, and choosing which advice to provide the principal and the board on areas that relate specifically to them. It is important to remember that the principal has the ultimate decision-making authority in the school, period. This is because the principal is accountable to the superintendent and the school board for everything that happens within the four walls of the school. Minutes are the historical record of an officially convened meeting of an organized decision-making body. Minutes are important documents for recording and tracking issues and decisions. They may even be used for litigious purposes. Minutes are among the most important documents used by any organization to conduct business in a transparent and accountable manner. Provincial legislation, the School Council Regulations Clause 14.2, does make reference to the expectation that there will be minutes of school council meetings, even though school councils are primarily advisory, not decision-making bodies. The regulation continues to state that school council minutes must be kept for 7 years. Taking minutes can be daunting. Minute takers are often expected to produce minutes out of chaotic and disorganized meetings. Although most of us know how to, and often do, take our own notes at meetings we attend, we may not have the skills or personality needed to be the actual minute taker for the meeting. In fact, we may not be able to understand our own notes a few days after the meeting. First things first, who should take the minutes? Choosing a minute taker is important. It should be someone who is familiar with the organization. The individual may be a designated secretary, a corporate secretary, an executive assistant, or another administrative professional, or someone who takes minutes for other organizations. It may even be an outside professional. You see this sometimes with bargaining meetings, hearings, etc. In a school council or fundraising association setting, there is typically a parent member who is elected, volunteers, or is voluntold to be the secretary, which almost always includes the important task of taking and producing the minutes for the meetings. The minute taker or secretary should be someone who is a good listener, quite well organized, and able to focus on group discussion at the same time as taking notes. He or she should also be prepared to keep very up to date as to what the school council is doing and understand the context of conversation, actively help the chair accomplish the goals of the meeting and get through the agenda, and ask questions that will help to keep the discussion focused to ensure the right notes are being taken for the minutes. An interesting side note, according to Robert's rules, and you don't have to follow this, your school council should have their own rules for meetings and duties. In the absence of both the chair and the vice chair, the secretary should call the meeting to order and preside over it until the meeting participants elect a new chair pro term for the time being. The question of who and how to record as attendees for any meeting comes up frequently. Many of us have always had the names of everyone who attended any of the meetings we have chaired and attended recorded in full, often with a designation as to their voting or membership status. Typically, we do this because we believe it's a rule. However, there is absolutely no written evidence to support it being a legal requirement to record who attended any school council or fundraising association meeting. However, the names of the people who attend the school council or FRA meetings are recorded is a decision best made by the school council and fundraising association. The first meeting of the new executive is likely a good time to have that on the agenda. For both groups, it is recommended that a minimum The current chair and secretary for individuals filling those duties be specifically named. Will you use full names or just the first name and last initial for privacy reasons? For school councils, a proven practice will be to list the names of the executive, principal, and teacher rep with a statement relating to quorum being met or not. Example, a majority of parents and the principal were in attendance, quorum attained. A proven practice for the fundraising association minutes would be to include the names of directors or officers present, again noting the chair and secretary distinctly, and a statement relating to quorum being met or not. To make it easier for your minute taker, it's helpful to be clear about the type of minutes they should be taking. Minutes should be appropriate for the type of meeting and for the needs of your organization. Please refer to handout number 1, 3 types of minutes for the next 7 slides. The 3 types of minutes that we will look at today are verbatim minutes, which are word-for-word records of what was said, decision-only minutes, which include motions or decisions only, no shred of discussion, anecdotal minutes, which include discussions and decision summaries. Within some organizations, different types of minutes may be used for different types of meetings. For example, verbatim minutes may be used for any type of meeting in which every word that was said must be captured, usually a legal context at the advice of legal counsel. Decision-only minutes may be used for formal meetings that require formal approvals, like for your audited financial statements or an appointment of a board of directors or a president, or at a meeting at which you carry out all business through motions. Anecdotal minutes may be used for department or team meetings throughout the organization, for brainstorming sessions. Really, these are the most common and are used for many types of meetings. The key with anecdotal minutes is what is recorded. Verbatim minutes, what you should capture, every word. Verbatim minutes are a word-for-word record of who said what and are rarely used except in instances where it is legally required to do so. Verbatim minutes can inhibit natural, free-flowing discussions. Members may hesitate to speak for fear of how their comments will appear in the minutes, or for fear of it being used against them later by a colleague or even in court. They are lengthy and tedious to read. Exceptional skills are needed to record them. Shorthand or court reporting experience is needed, or transcribing of taped meetings. Arguments may result. I did not say this. Yes, you did. But that is not what I meant. I don't care what you meant. That's what you said. And this can have a hamstring at a meeting when minutes are being approved. Verbatim minutes focus on individuals, not on issues, which is never desirable. Verbatim minutes can place the minute taker in a difficult position of having to record inappropriate language, lies, and personal attacks. We are telling you about verbatim minutes so that you can distinguish the different types of minutes. We won't be discussing them at length because they are rarely used or should be rarely used. Often, new board or committee members expect word-for-word minutes because they are grandstanding and want a particular matter attributed to them. This is totally out of place in minutes, so don't give in. Chances are that a school council will never have a need to have verbatim minutes, as anything the school council does is not legally binding. Decision-only minutes tend to be used in more formal meeting settings. Decision-only minutes have the safer standard for meetings when recorded discussion details that may expose the organization to risk. For example, auditors love this model because they are looking for particular decisions, and with this model, they don't have to wade through pages and pages of who said what, or even summaries. What you should capture. Motions if used. If motions are used, you write down the exact motion. How much detail you capture regarding the motion is a decision that your group has to consciously make. Do you record the mover and the seconder? Do you record the tally of the votes with those in favor or opposed? Or do you simply state carried or defeated? Decisions and actions. If motions are not used, the chair should clearly state as much detail as he or she wanted to record. Timelines and deadlines. People named as responsible for something. Exclude any discussion summaries, anything extraneous at all. Here are 3 examples of how decisions should be recorded using the decision-only format for minutes. Example 1. Members agree that the chair and principal should arrange for a parent information evening to receive feedback relating to proposed cultural recognition practices in our school. Members will be advised of the date as soon as it is confirmed. This will be done through consensus, no motion, outcome recorded. Example 2. It is decided by members present that a written summary of the responses to the homework policy survey will be provided to the principal by November 15, 2017. This would also be done by consensus, no motion, and the outcome recorded. Example 3, move that the maximum budget of $15,000 for adding 4 smart boards to classrooms. Smith-Jones carried. The principal will proceed with the purchase. This is a formal motion and outcome recorded. We will spend most of our time on anecdotal types of minutes, as they are the most commonly used minutes for department, project, team, club meetings. They are used everywhere from the boardroom to school councils, to nonprofit groups, to church groups, and everywhere in between. Anecdotal minutes are the recorded standard for most meetings, with the exception of formal meetings, decision-only minutes, in-camera meetings, no minutes, and meetings of a legal nature, verbatim minutes. Anecdotal minutes are the type of minutes that ASCA recommends for use by school councils and for their partner fundraising associations. Anecdotal minutes provide a valuable historical record of status and considerations leading to the decisions on a particular issue. They contain objectives and concise point-form summaries of discussions. As well, they may list options or ideas presented to a committee or in a report or discussed by the group. What should you capture? Key concepts or ideas, snapshots of discussions, collective thinking, not one individual's rant on a topic, decisions, actions, motions, as always, deadlines, timelines, as always, persons responsible, as always. Exclude word-for-word comments. Attributing comments to individuals. This is important to remember. With this type of minutes, it is recommended that after each item is concluded, the chair or team leader or the minute taker summarizes or recaps the key points made. In this example, the reader is able to get a fairly good idea of what was discussed without knowing every detail, has a clear understanding of the decision that was made, and knows who is responsible for what in the future. Note, you would never acknowledge an individual member in anecdotal minutes. Even with a vague reference like this example, you would either say members, or it was just one person, or you would say something like a suggestion was made on how to use a surplus, or a comment was made, that type of thing. As with the previous example, with this record, the reader is able to gather that agreement had been made to hire a specific DJ company without knowing every detail as to why on the varying sides and points of the discussion, and who needed to do what in order to make that happen. At a minimum, minutes can capture substantive and essential decisions made and actions taken by the group. Anecdotal minutes include summaries of the discussions that led to decisions. However, this can be problematic. Recording too much can lead to conflicts, and recording too little may not give enough history on how a decision was made. Focus of minutes should be on what the issue was, the action to be taken, and by whom, and the timelines or deadlines that were agreed to or mandated. Accuracy and completeness. These minutes should include the decisions that were made and the main points that led up to that decision, but only the main ones. Collective focus. For the main points that led to a decision, capture the collective thinking, not individual participants' ideas. No names for discussion. Do not include names in relation to discussion, even if you do for the motion and/or decisions. Be concise. Keep your summaries brief by focusing only on key points, not details. Be objective, not subjective. Keep the tone of your minutes neutral. You are just recording the facts as the briefest of summaries. Do not use leading adjectives like there was a heated discussion or the group was emphatic that the choice was taken. Be consistent. Minute format should be consistent across the organization for similar types of meetings. All meetings that have anecdotal minutes should be capturing about the same things. Be professional. Minutes should be error-free with no grammatical errors. They should be proofread by a knowledgeable person. Of course, this is true for all minutes that you take. Follow the agenda items. The meeting should be following the agenda. So should the minutes, even though it is sometimes easy for these types of minutes to wander from the topic at hand. Use templates. One very important trick to taking and producing great minutes is to use a template that follows the exact format of your agendas. You can put these principles into practice more consistently by developing minute-taking standards. These are standards or rules that the minute taker follows when making a record of the meeting. Minute-taking standards, as a formal practice or policy, enable the minute taker to follow approved standards for recording minutes and prevent the minute taker from being pressured to record what certain individuals may want to be recorded. Standards depersonalize and result in minutes that are accurate and objective. The minute taker is less likely to be accused of slanting the minutes. Minute-taking standards give the minute taker clarity about what to record and how, so that the person responsible for the minutes can produce accurate and objective minutes. Minute-taking standards result in a more standardized record of what actually happened at a meeting because they establish what should be recorded, ensure a consistent presentation of content and format throughout the organization, and from one year to the next, reduce risk of inappropriate details, and help to preserve the integrity of historical records. Use of a minute template can be one of the standards adopted by your school council. A minute template will only work well, however, if the agenda follows a specific pattern consistently and is circulated well in advance so that the minute taker has the opportunity to customize his or her minute template for the specifics of each meeting. It's a great idea for the chair to use an agenda template as well, so that the agenda follows a specific format for each meeting. Please refer to handouts 2A, 2B, and 2C, agenda template, minute template, and sample minutes. Thinking back to the objective of this workshop, I hope that the information provided has given you valuable insight on the importance of minute taking. The tips and strategies provided should give you the tools to determine the effective school council secretary. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Masterful Minutes. ASCA hopes that this workshop will help you become the best school council secretary that you can be. I encourage you to visit our website for more information on school councils and the services that ASCA offers. Please contact our office at any time for more information and assistance.